Thank you. Saikhansanaa та бүхэнд өдрийн мэндийг хүргэе. Esteemed delegates, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, let me convey cordial greetings to you from Mongolian People's Party and myself. I also wish to extend my sincere appreciation to the organizing committee of the 5th ICAP Youth Wing and the 6th meeting of the Women's Wing of ICAP and hosting organization, the New Azerbaijan Party. Best of success. It is important to note that this conference gives an opportunity to delegates around the world to share an experience of the party, learn from each other, and exchange views on future goals. The Mongolian People's Party is one of the first primary political founders of Central Asia. It is founded in 1921 and aims to be a responsible member of regional political policy and cooperation as an active participant. I am participating in this conference on behalf of Mongolian Social Democratic Youth Union at Mongolian People's Party as a vice president. Our union was founded in 1997 and it's a national non-governmental organization with over 70,000 of members and supporters and sub-councils in all branches of government. The union promotes youth participations in politics and represents the voice of young people in formulation of MPP policy. Our union has a rich history of introducing and implementing social democratic concepts and preparing young members of MPP for political sector. The current chairman of Mongolian People's Party, Prime Minister of Mongolia, Saikhansanaa Khurelbaatar, was the first president of the union, and the parliament speaker of Zandan served as the second president. 1/3 of 65 members of current parliament had a position at the union for a certain period. Ladies and gentlemen, MPP and our union are highly committed to ICAP and we are willing to cooperate in many aspects. Last June, Mr. Park, Secretary General of ICAP, visited Mongolia and met with Amar Baysoglan, Secretary General of MPP. At the time, we expressed our intention to organize the ICAP Youth and Women's Wing in meetings in April 2020 in Mongolia. And this request and invitation is reaffirmed at today's conference. You are invited to attend in ICAP the theme of reduction in inequality and involvement of youth and women's participation held in Mongolia in April 2020. Let us take a brief look at why reduction of inequality and the involvement of young people and women are important. The United Nations has approved a target towards sustainable development 2030 policy documents and 17 objectives set out in document. The objective of inequality reduction is reflected on the 10th. In addition, Mongolia has named the objective of inequality reduction as one of the 6 priority areas of immediate implementation of sustainable development and emphasizes policy making and decision making in this area. Mongolia has territory of 1.5 million square kilometers and leads its land per person in the world. But inequality due to remote rural-urban conditions, climate change, and environmental degradation, weak development of infrastructure, unfair distribution, and cost of equity drastically varies quality of life between rural and urban areas. Gender variation in education is increased, and women account for 58.6% of total highly educated people, while women's participation in decision-making is still inadequate, and gender development index ranks at 87th out of 137 countries worldwide. As a result, the single males in rural area as well as single females in urban area tend to increase. Further leads to major challenge in demographic policy. The inequality in politics and inadequate decline in corruption has led to the biggest challenge for youth and women's political participation. The rulers of MPP are adopting intensive policies on establishing justice, reducing public bureaucracy and corruption, but challenges arising from inequality, distribution of income, and multi-phase political interests still exist. Mongolia leads by its literacy as top in the world, but it's major concern that men's literacy has decreased in the past decade. Women literacy accounts for 98.9%, while men are 97% to 95.9%. Decrease in male educational indicator leads to chain of negative consequences such as unemployment, poverty, crime, breach of women's rights, and violence. Therefore, reduction of inequality becomes a major challenge for Mongolian political parties and policymakers. We are aware that there are many difficulties resulting from inequality not only in Mongolia, but also in the world. 26 richest people in the world have the wealth equal with those 3.8 billion poorest people. Inequality of revenue creates conditions where justice and equity are lost, and further, it leads to political crisis. As mentioned above, women's higher education level in Mongolia accounts for 58.6%. In contrast to Asian and Middle Eastern countries, women's right to education have been violated. In some countries, gender ratio is higher education and less than 40% for women. 670 million children cannot read and write in the world. Increasing number of inequality resulting from climate migration, unequal income distribution, technology, and infrastructure development becomes a major challenge, so that political parties are required to cooperate in order to reduce inequality at regional global levels. Therefore, Mongolia calls on these initiatives to reduce inequality and exchange information and experience with each other, and invites established efficient collaboration with you all. Lastly, I would like to thank you personally on behalf of Mongolian People's Party. We are excited to invite you all to attend next ICAP Youth and Women's meetings held in Mongolia, April 2020. Thank you for your attention.